Hello everyone, this is Kevin Hogan and welcome to Art Smart. Today we're going to be talking about the 1924 film Greed. It is a film directed by Erich von Stroheim and it is one of the most artistically beautiful films ever created, although I'm saying that mostly talking about what is largely stills that are existing because much of the film has been cut over time, but we'll get to that in a few moments. The film has been heralded as one of the greats of the silent film era and just one of the great films of all time. This is a film that uses a lot of deep focus cinematography where you can see lots and lots of clarity on the screen so that it looks quite realistic, not quite like most movie films that have focus that is mainly on the characters in the front and then blurs towards the back. And of course, this is also an early film using a lot of montage editing, which makes for a very powerful use of images on the film. I'm going to be showing you a lot of clips here in this film, and then at the end, I'm actually going to tack on a director's film that was made by Mr. Stroheim showing some footage of how the film was created. So I'm not going to talk over that piece. I'm just going to let you look at it and make your own decisions based upon that. The film Greed was based upon a book named McTeague. Greed was one of a few films during its time to be shot entirely on location, so there was no sets in the Hollywood sense. And Stroheim actually shot 85 hours worth of footage. That's an incredible amount even for the silent film era. He considered this film to be a Greek tragedy, and there's going to be an environment where the characters' fates were basically kind of leading them to be human beasts, is the way that he would describe it. During editing, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer basically kind of stepped in and tried to continuously push him to make the film shorter and shorter. Originally, the film was almost 8 hours long. It was actually edited against his wishes after several attempts to try to get Stroheim to reduce the film down to take his film down to about 2.5 hours, and then they actually made it even shorter after that. Only 12 people saw the full-length film, which actually was 42 reels. That film is now considered lost, and many people consider it to be one of the greatest films ever made based upon the reactions by those 12 reviewers. There have also been attempts in the recent past to make as much of the film available to people using production stills and making the film longer. In fact, a few years ago on Turner Entertainment, they created a 4-hour version of Greed, where they used the film that exists, and then they used a lot of stills also to make a version of the film. The story is about a couple that gets married under kind of shady circumstances as a guy steals his best friend's girl. And then when that couple wins the lottery, the marriage deteriorates when Trina, the woman, takes that money and basically hoards it without sharing it with her husband. And they live a impoverished life despite the fact that they have tons of money, which of course leads to all kinds of intrigue, and eventually it leads to murder. Now, this particular film takes quite a bit of time to show you these characters and watch their interactions, and slowly over the course of the film, even as it stands now, you see the marriage deteriorate, and you see these characters go more and more to their base instincts. The original film, though, took quite a bit of time with subplots that were able to show you people in the town, interactions with other characters that they interact with, including people that work for the family and people that interact with them. Unfortunately, though, these additional things, which may have really made the story rich and beautiful to watch, it also made the film incredibly long, and this was the primary issue for Stroheim. He was trying to get people to see a work of art on screen, and unfortunately the studio had to look at the financial end, and they realized that this film was not only going to be a financial failure, it was just pretty much unshowable in most theaters. So in my opinion, I can kind of see where both sides are on the argument between should the film have been cut down or not. Many people think that this particular film is a masterpiece as it stands, but a lot of people feel that the 8-hour version would have been a timeless masterpiece. And I can see where both sides come from. Now, on this particular film, they really worked hard on making sure that that it looked beautiful and that the film itself looked like it was a rich tapestry. As I said earlier, the use of deep focus was a novel thing that they utilized in this particular film, and it would become more famous when it was applied in Citizen Kane later on. The cinematographer Daniels sometimes used incandescent lights instead of a studio arc light, and that was part of the constraints of his locations, but it was also a way of making some real beautiful realism on the screen. The deep focus was utilized quite a bit in the wedding scene that I'm going to show you here, and I just think that it is quite beautiful and striking if you can go back and watch the film on your own. Stroheim favored Soviet-style montage editing, which at the time was a very intense form of montage art filmmaking that was very popular, obviously, in the Soviet area. However, this particular form of film editing would be, over the course of the next decade or so, really taken by the United States Hollywood filmmakers and kind of made into more of a general movie practice, where the montages that we see today tend to be much less intense than the things that they would use in their montage editing back in the 1920s. There was a great use of realism used in this particular film. In this scene with the wedding banquet, you can see Trina's mother just grotesquely devouring her food, and it's a wonderful symbolism of greed and gluttony and people just giving into their base images. Their baser instincts. It's just a very powerful thing to look at. The scenes where you see the tinted gold, especially using the color tinting that Stroheim applied himself, just makes it powerful. The gold just glows, and you can just see the greed in the gold itself. You don't even have to see the characters interact with it to see just how greedy this gold can make people. The film was a huge financial disappointment. In its initial run, it earned only $224,000 in the United States. This was a huge financial loss even in that time. The particular film probably cost, it looks like, probably somewhere in the $550,000 to $600,000 range, and that is just a huge amount of money to be spending on a film, and so obviously it lost a lot of money. Over the course of time, of course, showing the film over again has helped some people make money, but it hasn't really helped MGM over the years, as it's kind of, the money has gone into other people's pockets as the film has been distributed. However, the film is still seen by many as a classic. It is seen as one of the most beautiful films ever made. It is certainly one of the most famous silent films ever made. And it also has led many people to become more interested in lost film, as many historians and film fans have been trying to find parts of this film and recreate it ever since the film was taken apart by the studio. Hopefully this has made you a little bit more art smart, explaining the film to you just a little bit, and I really hope that you take the time to go and watch the film itself. It's not quite public domain at this point. It just barely makes the cutoff of actually staying under copyright, but it's a film that you can find pretty easily on YouTube and online if you really want to.